What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. We have made it. The weekend is here. And welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. As always, joined by Adriana down there, Anthony over there, Entertainer down here in the corner. Hope you guys are all had a great week. And yes, we are here, third day of New York Giants training camp. And I got to be honest, I'm just going to start with the good stuff. I just want to talk about good stuff. We're going to have to talk about some bad stuff, obviously. But the good stuff, in my opinion. And Adriana, we'll start with you because we have a clip to show for this. But what is your take on, maybe I'm getting a little bit too excited, but how excited are you to see Russ and Malik Nabers? I'm bursting at the seams, man, seeing Russ chuck the ball down the field, like long passes down the field, and Malik Nabers burning the defense. We have a reason to be excited about that going forward?
I'm with you. Like, I'm trying not to get too excited, but I've been at every practice so far, and every time he hits Malik Nabers, the crowd erupts. It's so excited. You hear the leak. Everyone's high-fiving. Like, the wide receivers are running over and high-fiving Malik, and I'm like, can we be good this year, please? Like, I also just think back to last year, and I'm like, the fact that Malik Nabers did what he did with 4 quarterbacks who are not very good, and you've got Russell Wilson who hits him in stride, a perfect moon ball. Like, you're just watching Malik catch it down the side and run into in for a touchdown. It's like, it's so beautiful, and it's getting me really excited. I'm like, no doubt he's going to have 10 plus touchdowns this year. He's probably going to have 1,500 yards. It's exciting to feel like even if Russ has a bad throw here or there, you just feel like he's going to get the ball in Nabers' hands. He also has done a great job of getting Wandale and Darius Slayton involved. You just feel like he's going to do a good job of spreading the ball around, targeting the right receivers when they're open, and just getting the ball in their hands and letting them make a play. And I feel like there's just not really been a ton of opportunities for all the wide receivers to be able to do that it's really exciting. Like, and I just feel like I look at Malik Nabers and I'm just like, how could he not be like salivating over the fact that he's got a quarterback who's like getting him the ball, and every time he gets the ball in his hands, he's just going to make a play, whether it's, a 40-yard throw into the end zone or like a slant. I just feel like he's going to be the OBJ type that remember those like little 5 or 10-yard slants and OBJ would just take him to the house. I'm like, this is going to be Malik Nabers this year.
Love it. I got to remember to do this because I'm kind of in training camp myself. I should have said this at the top of the show. Thank you for watching. Please hit the thumbs up. It helps out. Make sure you subscribe. We're closing on 5,100 subscribers. We appreciate it. Picked up like 50 subscribers the last show. And, of course, if you guys want to listen to us on your favorite podcast, you can check us out on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can check out Giants Collective. We're also on Instagram and TikTok. All the links are in the description below, so you can check that out. Also, if you want to become a member, you get your name in the outro, you get monthly member messages, and you get those pretty awesome emojis that you get to play around with that nobody else gets to have. So just wanted to get that out of the way. And again, I got to get better at that as we get into doing this more and more. I will get better at doing it at the top of the show. Anthony, you obviously were a big fan of Russ coming in here. I know Russ isn't what he was a few years ago, but obviously you, like myself, were pretty pumped about Russ being here and what he could bring. Are you excited about this, or are you trying to like temper, curb your enthusiasm, if you will, about what's going on in training camp? Because these two guys look amazing. They look like they've been playing together for years already.
No curbing of the enthusiasm. I'm very excited. This morning, I went ahead and I placed a bet for Malik Nabers to win Offensive Player of the Year. I'm going all in. I'm very excited about this. I think Nabers is so good. I know Chris says it all the time. He's probably the most talented wide receiver, right? Like, he looks like Jamar Chase. He's built like him. And I just think all he needed was a quarterback that could throw him the ball in stride. Last year, 1,200 yards with Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, Drew Lock, and Daniel Jones as his quarterback. Still went for 1,200 yards. And the best part about that is, if you look at the advanced stats, he only had 7 receptions, 20-plus yards downfield. Think about how much yardage he could have had on top of the 1,200 if he had a quarterback that could hit a deep ball. And now he has the quarterback who can hit the deep ball. one of the most accurate deep ball passers in the history of the NFL, the highest graded deep ball passer in the league last season, and Russell Wilson. So I think Nabers is going to explode this year. I've said this once, I'll say it again. I think he's going to push for the Triple Crown. I wouldn't be shocked if he won the Triple Crown and won Offensive Player of the Year. So I'm very excited for this duo. They're living up to the expectations so far, exceeding the expectations even. It's only training camp. The pads aren't even on, but I don't care. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see more.
I think as Giants fans, we've had such a tumultuous decade of football. I think we're allowed to at least be happy in July. I think everybody should at least give us that. Let us be happy for the summer months until the games count. And hopefully when the games count, we will be happy as well. That'd be great. Chris, what do you think? You trying to curb your enthusiasm, or are you pumped up? You think this is going to be the real deal, even when the lights are bright and these games count? Malik catching the ball from Russell Wilson. How you feeling about the prospects?
I'm going to curb my enthusiasm about the team as a whole. I'm going to try to keep my emotions in check preseason to keep it realistic. But I am not curbing my enthusiasm about Malik Nabers. We talked about how Nabers is salivating about Russell Wilson. I think there's equal salivation going on from Russell Wilson salivating about Malik Nabers and what he could do to this offense. And I see no reason. We talked about how Eli Manning was kind of falling. He wasn't as good as he was 7-8 years ago towards the end of his career. And a lot of people would consistently bring up the fact that Odell Beckham helped carry him late into his career. I see no reason why Malik Nabers couldn't do something similar to a guy like Russell Wilson. I think we could all agree is not prime Russell Wilson, but Nabers is a special talent. So I don't know if I'll go as far to say the Triple Crown, but I think Malik Nabers, I've said it consistently, I think he's the most talented wide receiver in the NFL. And if he's not, he's top 2 or 3. He's that good of a talent. So I will not curb my enthusiasm about that. I think Russell Wilson will have a pretty good statistical year this year with the New York Giants, and Malik Nabers will be the primary reason for that. I think he's an elite playmaker at the wide receiver position.
That's a great point, because if you look at Eli's stats, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I'm usually pretty good with stats, but I'm human. I do mess up, and I got a lot of numbers going in my head. I do that for work every day too. But in 2013, I think Eli threw 27 interceptions, which was the most in his career. And it did look like he was on the downswing. I mean, that was a terrible statistical season for Eli. And we had a bad year. I think we started 0-6 that year. We did finish 7-9, but we got up to a terrible start. And then he did get Odell Beckham in 2014. In the next 2 years, he had his best statistical seasons ever. 2015, he threw for 35 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, and we scored a ton of points. The major issue that year was our defense. I remember him throwing 6 touchdowns, 350 yards, no picks against New Orleans, and we lost 52-49. So it was that type of thing. I remember the Patriots that year, we lost in the last second field goal because Landon Collins dropped an interception. I mean, it's not because they were bad. So yes, I do think that Odell Beckham definitely pumped some life in Eli Manning, and to think that Malik couldn't do the same thing for Russell Wilson, it definitely could happen. I think it's a great comparison. And we're going to give a shout out to Ajani here, because she was down there. And I just want to show you guys and gals in the chat. This is one of the moon balls from Russ to Nabers. Let's take a look at this real quick. Throw it on the screen. There you go. It would help if I played it. Can't be too serious. Check it out, guys.
Just like hit him right in stride.
Yep.
So perfect.
Who's in coverage?
That was a Debo who tripped.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I saw him trip there. Yeah.
Yeah. And Carter was this close to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's a beautiful, beautiful pass. We all know that Russ his balls just sink like a block of cement going into the water, right? Dips right into the wide receiver's hand. So
the biscuit right in the basket, and he drops it right in there. I mean, yeah, Debo fell down, but that ball's perfectly thrown. You didn't see him turning around, waiting for it, like another quarterback that would do that on this team. The only guy that we ever saw throw deep seriously since Eli left, it was like Tyrod Taylor. I don't ever remember anybody else throwing the ball deep down the field. And yeah, like Anthony mentioned, Russ may have some inaccurate throws down the field, but he's going to throw the ball on the field. And just the threat of extending the defense, stretching the defense, is just something we haven't had here in years. Like, defenses had no reason to play us honest and had no reason to play the deep ball. Now they do. So that should open up the rest of the offense. I try to not get excited. I just can't help it, man. I'm a fan. It's July. I'm excited to have a quarterback that can throw the ball like that. I'm excited that we have one of the best receivers in the league without question. I mean, I posted that on Twitter today, and my guy Louis T, who's a Commanders fan, said he's already the best receiver in the division. Now, that should say something because that comes from a Commander fan. We got CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown in this division. So if a Commander fan, an outside fan thinks that, then that just goes to show you how good Leak really is, without question. I can't wait to see what these guys can do on the field. I can't wait. It's going to be good. We'll kind of dip down a little bit here before we go up again. And then he'll start with you because I know you've talked about this a lot. Deonte Banks, from what I've seen in training camp, the same problem. It looks like he has really good coverage and he's stride for stride with these receivers, but he never turns it. He can't find the ball. Is this something? Because somebody asked me this and it was a good question. Is this a coachable thing or is that instinctual? How can the coaches get him to locate the football? Because I feel like if he ever could get his head around, he could be a really good cornerback.
Yep.
I definitely think it's coachable. I'll say, though, he did have a nice pass breakup today. He didn't get his head turned around per se, but he did break up the pass. He was in really good coverage, and he got his hand on the football. So I want to give him credit for that. But I definitely believe it's a coachable thing because a couple of weeks ago on Fireside Giants, I had Brian Walker on. Brian Walker is a defensive backs trainer that works with, right now he's working with Andre Sisco of the New York Jets. He used to work with Xavier McKinney and Darnay Holmes, and he basically listed out all these different drills that he would give to Deonte Banks if he was training Deonte Banks, and they were all just so that he could get his head turned around and how to improve his reflexes and his reactions. He said using tennis balls and all these other things. It was a really fun interview, and he's a really smart guy and a great trainer. And so I'm led to believe it's definitely coachable. There are definitely things that he could be taught. And I also know that based on what we've learned, the coaching staff didn't resonate with the defensive backs last year, and that's why Jerome Henderson was moved on from. He was older, and they decided to bring in a younger guy who was more of a player's coach, a former player turned coach, actually, because they thought that he could connect better with such a young secondary. I think that's a really crucial aspect here. The secondary is super young. They brought in some new veteran talents this offseason in Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo. They only just finished their first contracts. They're not even like these distinguished, experienced veterans. It's all youth in that secondary. They don't even have an Adoree Jackson like they had last year. So they're all young, they're all growing, and they're all going through their ups and downs. And Deonte Banks is no different. He has a lot of talent and plenty of upside because of his great athleticism, but he just needs some time to grow and develop, I think. And it is a competition now between him and Cordell Flott. Cordell Flott probably plays the ball a little bit better. Cordell Flott's going into year 4, so he's got a little bit more experience under his belt, and he's going up against a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson in the playoffs and different things like that. I really think it's just about time and reps for Deonte Banks. I'm hoping that he's able to get it down before the start of the season. I'd like to see him open as CB2, but it is certainly a problem that he's not getting his head around still. But then again, the pads aren't on. It's only the 3rd day of training camp. Let's see next week when the pads are on. Maybe he becomes a little bit more physical, and that allows him to turn around a little bit quicker, get his head around. So I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet.
Chris, when we drafted Deonte Banks, you and I obviously cover the draft every year. We loved the pick, and we were pretty ecstatic about that. Felt like he had a good rookie year, but obviously last year, not a good one. Can he improve this locating the football? Is there any way he can learn to turn his head around and knock this ball away, learn to play the football instead of playing the receiver? Any way he can do that? Do you think that?
I definitely think he can. I'm not going to say he will. I don't know. I can't predict the future, but I definitely think he can improve. I think corner is one of the hardest positions. I would say quarterback is obviously the hardest. That's the hardest learning curve. But after that, I think you can make a strong argument that cornerback takes the longest time in most cases to mature and become an NFL-ready cornerback. So I'm not stunned that Deonte Banks hasn't lived up to the billing of a first-round pick yet. Do I think he still could? Yeah, I still think he's really talented. And I think most people can see that. Like we've talked about extensively, the coverage for the most part is there. It's the instincts. Do I think he can get better there? Absolutely. We'll see though. The proof will be in the pudding. But I definitely think, and I still believe he's going to have a much better year this year because of a variety of things. He's no longer the cornerback one. We, on paper, should have a much better pass rush, which in turn should help the secondary. So I don't think he's going to have as much of a load to carry. So and he's got some more help there, obviously with the addition of Holland at the safety spot as well, along with the Devo. So I do think Deonte Banks will have a much better year this year. And yeah, I think he could get a lot better from that aspect, but the proof will be in the pudding. It doesn't mean it will happen, but could it? Absolutely, yeah.
Adriana, are you confident in Deonte Banks getting better locating the football, or do you think this is kind of where he is?
I think part of it is him wanting to learn and improve. And I think we didn't see that from him last year. And like Anthony said, I think the coaching change is really going to help him. I even feel like just from a lot of the things that I've heard from the coaching staff and even other players about Banks makes me believe that he kind of has a whole new attitude on everything this year. And, he's had a few nice pass breakups in camp. He's right there. So I feel like he has to work on getting the body around. And I think because he has the speed and the capability of keeping up with the wide receivers, like that you can't really teach. So he's already got the harder part down. He just has to learn to turn his body around. So I hope that can be coachable. But I thought it was interesting that even someone like Dexter Lawrence, was asked about him being one of the older veterans in the locker room and what it's like on defense, being vocal and things like that. And he was like, it's not just me. Like this year, there are guys like Banks and Flott who are vocal. And that's something we've never heard before. So I think that the way that Shane Bowen has talked about how Banks is more invested and asks more questions and things like that. Plus just, I feel like you're getting like the old Deonte Banks that we saw in 2023. I feel like we're getting that back a little bit. And I just hope it's going to translate onto the field.
I'm just wondering, like we talked about this last year, that there was like no leader. And when McKinney left, that we feel like that hurt Deonte Banks a lot, that there wasn't a leader in that secondary per se. It was a lot of younger guys and Pinnock. I mean, those pretty much was our, you had Nubin out there as a rookie, had Joe Phillips out there as a rookie. This year, you bring in a guy like Javon Holland, and I just think bringing in some veterans can also help Deonte Banks, bringing in guys that are leaders that can teach him a lot better than maybe some of the other guys could. And like you mentioned, Adriana, for him to just be vested and to want to do it, because what was it against Philadelphia when he kind of said, I wasn't going to even try to bother tackling Jalen Hurts or whatever he said. It was a terrible look, and it looked like he had just disconnected. But you hope that this year he goes in with a different fire, with a different coach, like Anthony mentioned, different teammates around him, and now some good, healthy competition that, hey, man, we're not just handing you CB2. Like, you got to go out there and earn that. So if you want CB2, if you want to be the starter, you got to go out there and take it. We're not just going to hand it to you. And I think that type of thing definitely can inspire a young player to say, well, I don't want to lose my spot, so I'm going to have to bust my ass and beat this guy and be the best I can be. And that only helped, because if both of those guys improve off of each other's competition, when we get into the regular season and you're going to need more depth, it'll help them both out. So I think that Deonte Banks is definitely ready for a bounce back year. I hope if he could ever just learn to freaking locate that football, he's going to be a damn good cornerback. His coverage skills are great, but he just, in the NFL, that's like 25% of the battle, because these wide receivers are they're insane with how good they are at just catching the ball, pinpointing it, taking it out of a cornerback's head. The athleticism of wide receiver, we've never seen anything like this. It just gets more and more every year. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, their catch radius, the body balance. It's crazy. These guys are not human beings. They're not. So, like Chris mentioned, cornerback is, I think, the second toughest position to play outside of quarterback.
Especially in today's NFL with how all the rules favor the offense. Like, that's such a hard position to adapt to at the NFL level. And it's such a big year for Deonte Banks. The more I'm thinking as we're talking, because next year, fifth-year option for the first-round rookie, like, he has to produce this year. It's such a massive year for him financially as well. Of course, the Giants have the option to extend him if he has a really good year. I expect him to have a bounce-back year this year. I really do think Deonte Banks will have a strong year this year for the Giants.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that without question, because like I said, if he's better, if he can be, a lot better than it was last year, even better than his rookie season, just our secondary is going to be strong. And then you add it to the front seven, and the defense could literally be a top 5 defense. I really think it's that good on paper. So again, paper only takes so far. It's got to translate onto the field. These guys got to execute, and they got to not commit stupid penalties, and they got to get off the field and they're down. They got to do a lot of things that they haven't done in previous years, which is why we constantly find ourselves picking in the top 5 or 6. But if Deonte Banks can get better, it's going to do a world of good for the defense. Speaking of the defense, let's stay on there and let's go back to the good. Chris, we were pumped about Abdul Carter, and he is living up to everything in training camp, man. Again, kind of like Malik Nabers. You want to temper your excitement, or are you just going to say, fuck it, this guy's a beast?
No, I'm not. There's three players on this team I will not temper my expectations for, and he's one of them. The other is Dexter Lawrence, and of course Malik Nabers, who we talked about. I think I'm as sure about Abdul Carter as a talent as I was about Malik Nabers his rookie year with the Giants. Everybody's starting to see that spin move now at training camp that we all saw, that I was drooling over when we watched that Notre Dame game together last year. The only question I have with Carter is some of the injury concerns that he's had at the collegiate level. But if he's on the field, no doubt in my mind, he's going to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. That's how good I think this kid is.
John, I see you smiling down there. How excited are we about Abdul Carter, the way he's looked the first 3 days?
I'm the same way. I was like trying to be chill about it, and I'm so not. Like every time I'm like, where's 51? Is he on the field? Okay, he's with the ones. Now he's with the twos. What's he doing here? Did he get to him there? And everything he does, I'm just like, this guy's going to be an absolute freak. I'm so excited. I got one of the videos that we have uploaded here is his spin move, which I've seen him do a couple times now in person. And I'm like, who's stopping him? Honestly. Who? No one. Between him and Malik Nabers, and again, like Chris said, Dexter Lawrence, like I know this team has a long way to go and we have to see it on the field, but with Abdul Carter and Malik Nabers, like you can see it on the field right now that it's hard to think about how it's not going to translate. It's just like we're witnessing it with our own eyes in camp. Like, of course it's going to translate when we actually have the games, and he's going to be able to get to, all of these quarterbacks that we're going up against this year. And I just feel like between him, Burns, and Dexter, whether it's him, Kayvon, and Dexter, or all three of them, like it's impossible not to be excited about it. Like he's such a freak. And just everything he does, I'm like, I fucking love this guy. It's like, it's time to get an Abdul Carter jersey.
Yeah,
there's certain players when you watch them, they just pop, and there's not many of them. He's one of those players. He just pops.
Yeah, I want to get a Carter jersey, but I don't want to get a Leak jersey, but I'm always scared. It seems like the last few times I bought a jersey, they didn't end up being Giants. Beckham.
Yep. Or they get injured.
I bought that right after he signed the contract, figuring I'm safe.
Me too.
Didn't happen. McKinney.
I bought the Jones after the contract signing. Saquon.
Yeah. I got the Saquon color rush, not a Giant. I got the McKinney Classic, not a Giant. I'm gonna leave these guys alone. Anthony. Yeah, what do you think about Abdul Carter, man? I mean, he just looks every bit the part of what the Giants thought he'd be at number 3. Now, granted, we're 3 days in a training camp, but this is all we have to go on. How excited are you about the prospects of Abdul Carter just being an absolute beast?
I'm super excited. One thing I'm really happy about, now that we're here in July and he's on the field, we don't have to talk about his jersey number anymore, right? Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Right. He's a good football player and he's out there on the field, and we can be excited about that like we always should have been. But no, he looks like a terror for opposing quarterbacks, for opposing offensive linemen. It's what we knew he was going to be. It's great to see him living up to the hype, maybe even exceeding it to some extent. But again, I'm just waiting for the pads to come on. I can't wait for the physicality to be at these practices. Once Carter puts the pads on, I know that he kind of manhandled John Michael Schmitz a little bit during Thursday's practice. I saw that video. But you know what? When the pads are on, then he can really start manhandling some of these guys, and that's going to be really fun to watch. I just can't wait for that first Abdul Carter sack on one of our division rivals. Hopefully it's in week 1 against Jaden Daniels. That would be fantastic. If it's against the Eagles, if it's against the Cowboys, I hope it's against all of them. And I hope it's several times.
I think it will be against all of them.
I do too. I can't wait.
Yeah. JD5 is going to get an up and personal close look at Abdul Carter. Now, the thing you'd say, like, now normally when at least for me, I can't speak for everybody. When I watch training camp, I'm always like, what should I be rooting for here? Like, a guy throws an interception, like, is that a bad throwing the quarterback, or is that good that the cornerback picked it off? Is it good that Russell Wilson's throwing the ball deep down the field to leak and the cornerbacks are getting burned? Is it bad in the corner? Is it good on the receiver? When it comes to Abdul Carter, like, I saw him absolutely destroy Marcus Bowe on the lean. That was just, it's insane. He was doing the limbo. The bend was sick. When I'm watching the number 3 pick overall go against our 5th round tackle, I want Abdul Carter destroying him. I want Abdul Carter destroying every one of our linemen. I don't want to see our linemen holding that guy up because he's the 3rd overall pick of the draft. This is the guy that's supposed to be a game changer. I don't want our 5th round tackle shutting him down because I'm going to say, well, shit, if he can shut him down, who can't? So when the guys pick that high, I want to see him dominate. That's one aspect where I could sit there and go, I'm going to differentiate and say, I want him to be absolutely dominant and kill our lineman, get to that quarterback, put pressure on the quarterback.
Look, I'm going to tell you what, I would be stunned, provided he stays healthy, if he doesn't have a massive year this year.
Yeah.
Because it's not just his talent. It's the talent around him on that defensive line. Like, you have to double team Dexter Lawrence. You have to. So if you're gonna do that, and you have Brian Burns on the other side, and we could all see the talent that Abdul Carter possesses, like, I can't see him not having a big year for the New York Giants. I really can't. When you factor in the talent that he has and the talent around him, I think he's gonna have a massive year.
I'm excited about what this defense can be, without question. No question about that. And again, shout out to Adriana for putting the clip here. Here's Abdul Carter. That's what that was?
Yeah.
Rapid fast. Let me do that again. I wasn't even looking. Let me do it again.
Yeah, so look at him at number 51.
Oh, there he is on the edge. Okay, I didn't even see him. It happened so quick.
Yeah.
Oh, there it was.
I'm not sure if that would have been a hold, but the fact that he was able to get around so quickly, and Jermaine Illuminor is a pretty good tackle. I'm like, I like the evidence of seeing the different moves and stuff that he has in person, because I know this was a complaint with a lot of Giants fans that Kayvon has no moves. He just bull rushes the quarterback, and it usually doesn't work. Like, it hasn't worked since Winks. So I like getting to see all of the things that we heard about Abdul Carter, getting to see it in person. But like you said, Bad Dog, like, you want to see him go toe to toe with our starting offensive linemen and do well, be able to beat them, but not like, I don't want to see him blow up JMS every snap. Like, if that happens consistently, that's when I get worried. If it's Marcus Bowe every snap, fine. He's going to learn from going against Abdul Carter. But, I want our offensive linemen, our starters, to like win the battle a couple times.
Yeah. I'll watch this one more time. This reminds you a little bit. This looks like a little bit of a OCU maneuver. This is what I see here when I look at that. How quick that spin is. But good on Russ too. Russ said, "I'm getting that thing the hell out of there." Mm-hmm. So.
When I was watching that today, I was thinking about like some of the quarterbacks that we're going to play this year. And I know we don't play JJ McCarthy till week 18, but I'm like, JJ McCarthy is going to see Abdul Carter on the field and like shit his pants, I think. So like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, when you're going against guys who aren't veterans, who aren't like the Joe Burrows of the world and who are going to get the ball out super quick, I'm like, Abdul Carter's just going to surprise these guys and get to them quickly.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Again, we'll kind of dip down a little bit here and talk about John Michael Schmitz. You mentioned him. And he's been less than impressive in training camp, and he was less than impressive last year. This obviously was a second-round pick for Joe Schoen a couple years ago. I loved the pick. I thought he'd be really good. But one thing about John Michael Schmitz is he hasn't like put on any size, and he just seems to get absolutely manhandled at center. I'll say this, John, he's probably going to start at center, would be my guess. But if he struggles the first couple of games or so, how long do you think it'd be before they made a move and said, okay, maybe they move Van Roten to center and they put Evan Neal at guard if John Michael Schmitz is really struggling that much? Could you see them making a move early in the season if he just keeps getting manhandled? Because obviously when you're snapping the ball, you snap the ball over Russell Wilson's head a bunch of times. He's getting pushed around. He's not a very good run blocker either. So he's obviously struggling a lot. How long of a leash do you think he has if he gets off to a bad start?
I think it could be kind of early if the Giants are in games. Like, if he's the problem as to why the Giants offense is not functioning, then I think they will make a change, because ultimately, yes, they have Jackson Dart and he's the future of this franchise. And I think that the front office is going to give them a little bit of time. They still have to win football games. And if the defense is doing what they did last year, especially against teams like the Bengals, and the Giants are down 17-10, in the fourth quarter, and it's up to the offense to get the ball moving down the field, and JMS is getting blown up every play, so Russ is getting sacked 100 times, I think they're going to be forced to make a change there. I like the idea too that outside of Evan Neal. We also have Marcus Bowe, who he's been at right tackle, but I'd be curious to see if they would go straight to Neal or if they'd go to Bowe, like what really their plan is there, if they moved Van Roten over. Because I think it's either him or Schlottman or like Stinney as the backup. And I would assume that out of those guys, they probably feel the most comfortable moving Van Roten over. But I would think so. I think that, they feel like they have to win. And we all agree that the defense is, especially in the beginning, going to do everything they can to keep this team in games, that the offense has to be at the very least average and score more than 7 points a game. So, if he's the problem, they cannot be afraid to make changes. They can't.
Anthony, how long of a leash do you think he has if he gets off to a bad start this year?
I just don't know who the capable replacement is. Like, I know they've got some guys. Obviously, Greg Van Roten can play some center, but do they really want him moving over to center? And all the guys behind John Michael Schmitz, I don't really know too much about them and can't really project how well they would perform. Of the positions that the Giants are playing the riskiest games with this season, I think center truly is one of them. Like we talked about, not handing a starting job to Deonte Banks and making him compete with Cordell Flott. I don't think that the Giants really brought in any competition for John Michael Schmitz, and I honestly feel like that was an oversight for them throughout this offseason. Now, obviously, the offseason technically isn't finished. They could bring somebody in between now and the start of the regular season, maybe during cut day or sometime during the preseason. They could bring in some competition for him, but I do think it's a worthwhile concern. It's not a concern just because he's had a rough 3 days of training camp. It's a concern because he hasn't played all that well through the first 2 seasons of his career, and he doesn't look like he got any better at the start of training camp. Plus, he's also dealt with injuries in each of the first 2 seasons of his career. So I think when you factor that in, the Giants probably should have added a little bit more depth to the interior of this offensive line, and definitely at the center position. I'm curious to see if they do between now and by the time we get maybe to that second preseason game. If he's not performing well, maybe they should look to add somebody and give him a little bit of competition.
Chris, what do you think? How long of a leash do you think Schmitz has if he gets off to a really bad start?
I don't think he'll be replaced early at the center spot, partially because of what Anthony said, and maybe that will change. Maybe we will add somebody as the season gets closer if he continues to struggle in preseason. But I don't really see a guy on this roster that they would probably feel confident inserting into the center spot. I saw somebody in the chat mention, I remember reading it after we drafted him, Bowe, I think that's how it's pronounced, the 5th round pick for the Giants. A lot of people were projecting that he could potentially be a center at some point in his NFL career, but he's not even training there, to my knowledge. I think, like Adriana just said, he's playing at the tackle spot, so I don't really view him. If you go the route of shifting Van Roten there, then all of a sudden you're almost replacing 2 offensive linemen. That's not ideal. I don't think that that's something you want to do outside of desperation, like an injury, especially early on in the season. So I think if I had to guess, I think he will be the center for the majority of this year, if not the entirety of the year. And if he doesn't mature and get better, I think at that point the Giants look for a new starter going into the following season. But I think it's his job this year outside of an injury, or maybe late in the year if he's playing awful, they replace him. But I don't see them having a quick hook with JMS.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I can tell you this, though. If he has a bad year this year, he ain't going to be there next year. There's not a doubt in my mind the Giants are going to take all their money, all their capital that they have. They need to. If Jackson Dart's going to be your starter in 2026, which that's projection, obviously, you probably want to get the best line you can in front of. Well, I guess he'll be a first-year player technically, but he a young quarterback. You don't want him to be under duress every time. I actually didn't see how Dart did today, so I didn't hear much about him. Did anybody know if he threw an interception today? Because I did that video yesterday, because I swear, and I want to get to the super chats. Really appreciate you guys and girls donating to the channel, and I'll get to that in a second. But I feel like some people really want Jackson Dart to fail, and I hate that. Mm-hmm. I don't tell people how to fan, but I feel like they want to say, "I told you we should have taken Shedeur Sanders."
You're always
and that just frustrates me.
Already
I
got
know,
it.
but it's frustrating to me, man. Just root for the damn Giants. Like, who cares so what? If you were right, if you wanted Shedeur Sanders and he's a superstar, Jackson Dart is a bust. What do you get? What do you win? Because I've been right a bunch of times, and I haven't gotten anything. I've been wrong a bunch of times, and I get a lot. Oh, that aged like milk, man. Dog, I get that all the time. But you don't get anything. Root for the team to win. That's why we're fans.
Yeah.
Did he throw a pick today? Anybody know?
I don't think so. I had
saw somebody
people
click a really bad pass, but I didn't see a pick. But
he saw a couple not great passes, but he ended the practice with a really great, like perfect throw to Cam Scattaboo, back corner of the end zone for a touchdown. I had people like after day one being like, he's a bust. We should have drafted Shedeur Sanders.
That's what I'm saying.
I literally was like, you need a lobotomy. Like, I don't know what world you're living in. Did you forget that 30 other teams outside of the Giants and the Browns passed on Shedeur Sanders for 5 rounds? And on top of that, the Browns drafted a quarterback, have 2 other quarterbacks on the roster, and drafted 6 other players before him. So like, I don't want to hear that because he hasn't thrown a pick 6 at practice where he is probably the 4th or 5th string quarterback, where Jackson Dart is the number 2 right now, that he's a bust because he threw 1 bad pass, because since then he's thrown quite a few really nice touchdowns and hasn't thrown another pick 6 since.
I don't want to get off on a tangent. I don't want to get off on a tangent because I want to get to these comments. I freaking love Cam Scattaboo. I don't know. Maybe that's the jersey I buy. Maybe that's the guy I need to get. Is fucking Scattaboo, baby. Because I like that. Did you guys see? I'm sure you saw that he came out in Jackson Dart's jersey. Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious, man. They're having fun. Like, it just seems like we're having fun this year. Even Daboll's joking around. And like you said, I think it's because he's eating more. I know. Listen, man, I have a very strict diet. I get very cranky Friday night because I haven't eaten a lot. I'm much happier when I'm full. So I'm glad Daboll's back to the chicken wings. We need Husky Daboll to lead us to the playoffs. Joe, thank you so much. He said, realistically, should we sign Christian Wilkins? Realistically, no. In a dream world.
I would love it. I mean, you get the Clemson power duo there with the 2 defensive tackles, but I just don't. I don't see the Giants investing that kind of money into the defensive line with the money that they've already invested. But yeah, I would love it. I just don't realistically seeing it happen. They'd have to restructure a lot of contracts. I'd be surprised, but I would love it. It'd be great.
A run defense.
I don't really think he'd cost a lot. There's so much uncertainty with his injury, this foot surgery that he refused to have, and so there's just a lot of question marks about that. I think it's kind of similar when we had this conversation months ago about Jair Alexander when he got released, and people were like, "Oh, he's going to cost too much." I think he signed for 1 year, $5 million. I think that you're probably going to see something similar with Christian Wilkins because of the injury and because of the fact that he's now, I think, going through a lawsuit between him, the NFLPA, and the Las Vegas Raiders. I think there's a lot going on there, and so teams are not going to be willing to pay a lot for that kind of a risk to absorb. I don't think he's going to cost a ton.
I'll tell you what, Anthony, if we could get him for $5 million, I want the Giants first in line. I would be surprised because I see the money that defensive tackles get in today's NFL, and it's insane. Yeah. But I get your point with the injury. But if they get him for $4 or $5 million, they should be first in line.
Well, also keep in mind, because of this injury, he's probably not going to be ready until midway through the season. So that's also going to lower his price significantly. And then it's just going to become contingent on whether or not the Giants are a good team because he is a good player. He's one of the best run defenders in the entire sport. So if the Giants are competitive and they're looking to make a playoff run, I think there would be mutual interest. But if they're a bad team, first of all, what's the point from the Giants' perspective? You might as well just keep developing your young guys like Darius Alexander. And also for Christian Wilkins, he probably wants to go to a winning football team midseason. But if the Giants are a winning football team midseason and they need a little bit of extra beef on the defensive line to stop the run, I think that it is possible. I'm not going to say it's realistic because it's contingent on the Giants being good. And I don't know how realistic that is based on what we've seen in the last 10 years. But if they are good, I definitely think it's a possibility.
God, it'd be amazing. That'd be pretty awesome. Is it possible to sign him before this season starts and let him sit and see, like, say it costs $6 million? It's possible to say, all right, we'll take you in here 1 year, $6 million. He's not going to start the middle of the year. If the Giants are really lousy, well, no, it depends on when he would. The trade deadline's very early in the NFL, so that probably wasn't going to work. I'd say, could they possibly trade him? Could they sign him and trade him if they were no good and get some draft capital for him? Is that a possibility? But I guess it would depend on when he's ready to come back. Because when is the trade end? It's like week 6, right? It's really early.
It's before baseball,
like early November.
Yeah, it's really early for the football season. Like not even halfway through. Like baseball season, it's coming up the 31st. So craziness. Wilkins and Dex and
if I were, I don't know. Is that like a known fact, Anthony, that he's projected to be out for half the season, or is that more so just a possibility?
It's the expectation. Yeah, I know. What's his name? Ricky, the People's Insider, right? I know he said that he heard that. I think he said something about the Giants and Wilkins actually contacted each other, but the expectation that Wilkins gave them was he's not going to be ready by the start of the season. But that's just Ricky. I don't know. I believe in Ricky, though.
If I were Wilkins, I wouldn't be rushing to sign before the year started for the exact reason that you said, Anthony. Like, I'd rather let the season play out for 6 or 7 weeks and see what team gives me the best chance to compete and potentially maximize a potential contract the following year. So I don't think he'd be rushing to sign if he wasn't going to be ready till midseason.
Yeah. So, I just get giddy thinking about them.
I love them on the Giants.
Can you imagine the Giants being competitive at that point and then adding that guy to that team? Yeah. They might actually scare some people of those. Oh, sorry, I went right past this. John, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. He says, I feel all right about the offense, but I'd feel great if Nabers had a wide receiver 1B across from him, with Slayton being the wide receiver 3. I understand. I think next year that's another thing to look at. I really think they're just they really focused on defense this year. I really think next year you're going to see them focus on offense. And honestly, Don, I think that Darius Slayton could easily slide into a wide receiver 2 because Malik Nabers is that good to take. I think Darius Slayton, to Anthony's point earlier, Slayton's not really had a guy be able to throw the ball to him deep down the field either. Tyrod Taylor was the one that did it, and we saw him catch a couple deep passes against Philadelphia. I really think that was one of my hot takes. That Darius Slayton's going to have 1,000 yards this year. He's never had more than 700 and some odd. 770, I think, was his career high. I think he'd get 1,000 this year. But yeah, if they got a guy like T. Higgins, say not T. Higgins in particular, but a guy like that's across from Jamar Chase, it'd be awesome. So I think next year you're looking at that. But
yeah, Don. Well, I agree with you, because I do think that will be something the Giants look at next year to improve the wide receiver 2, whether it be in free agency or the draft. I personally don't feel that is what I fear that will hold this offense back. I think Darius Slayton is good enough with a guy like Malik Nabers on the other side. What I worry about, what's going to hold this offensive back, is what's held the offense back the last 15 years for the most part, and that's the offensive line. That to me is the biggest worry for me for the offense. I think Darius Slayton is good enough with a guy like Malik Nabers on the other side to have a good offense in the NFL.
Yeah. By the way, we're 6 likes away from 100. If we could get that, that'd be great. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button too. Appreciate you tuning in on a Friday as Giants training camp's underway. And before you know it, man, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we have our first preseason game against Buffalo, which thought about going out to that one. My in-laws are Bills fans, and they're like, I didn't know it was a 1:00 game. I thought it was late at night. And they're like, yeah, we're not staying overnight. We're going to drive there and drive back. I'm like, I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and driving 5 hours to Buffalo. That's not happening. Not on a Saturday. Not for a preseason game. No thanks. No. I was like, if it was at MetLife Stadium, different story. I'll go down there. I ain't going to Buffalo. Buffalo, no offense. I have no problem with the Bills, but the city stinks. Literally, it smells like Cheerios. I'm not lying. Anybody ever been to Buffalo? It smells like Cheerios. I'm not kidding.
Also, if anyone...
They make Cheerios there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Like we were talking about bets before. If anyone is interested, Malik Nabers is plus 225 to score 10 plus regular season touchdowns, and he's plus 150 to have 1,250 receiving yards and plus 400 to have 1,500 receiving yards. I took all of them.
Wait, what was the plus on the 1,500? What was it?
Plus 400. Great odds.
If he stays healthy, he's at least hitting the 1,250.
Anthony went for it too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Plus 150 for him to get 1,250. I mean, no.
I think you take
that last year.
You take $100, you put 50 on the 1,250, you put 50 on the 1,500. You hope to hit both. If not, I like that.
If he's healthy, he's hitting them both.
No,
I agree.
SPP Williams, our friend from across the pond. Shout out to him because it's like 12:46 over there in the UK. He says, go Giants, go collective. Miss you all. Glad you're back. Thank you, sir. This is going to be a good season. Tough schedule. Doesn't matter. To be the best, you have to beat the best. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Excited about this year. Probably shouldn't be. They do this to me all the damn time. But and I say it every year. Oh, this team feels different. But it really does feel different to me. I don't know.
We have Abdul Carter now.
We have Russell Wilson.
Like, it's got to feel a little bit more exciting.
Russ.
And we appreciate you for being here, William. Thank you for the kind words. And but yeah, I agree. I'm starting to get some optimism as the year gets closer, and I'm sure by the time September comes around, I'm going to predict this to go 17-0. I'm still trying to temper my expectations.
You won't do that. You're not an Eagles fan.
No.
Well, let's be honest. If any team could go 17-0, it's probably those sons of bitches. They're pretty good. I hate the freaking Eagles, but credit where it's due.
Yeah. But I'm still excited. I am excited. I do think the Giants they're gonna be competitive this year at the very least. I don't think they're gonna get manhandled when at least on a consistent basis when they go up against good football teams.
Not either. I really think we're winning week 1. There's no reason to think we can't beat Washington. We almost had them last year twice. We were awful and they were great. And I'm not saying they can't get back there, but somebody asked me at work, they're like, do you think that week 1 is a must win for the Giants? I said, definitely not, but it's a must win for Washington.
We played Dallas week 2, right?
2, yeah.
We got to win one of those two. You can't start the 0-2 in the division.
We might win them both. We're finishing ahead of Dallas. I'm telling you that right now. We're finishing ahead of Dallas. And,
well, they both are going to go into that game thinking they're going to whoop our ass. So if we can just put up a fight.
I'm telling you, man, Twitter's funny. I love Twitter. I've been very active about it the last 2 days, and and a guy tell me, "Oh, you haven't beaten Dak Prescott since since Obama was president." I said, "Well, you ain't won a Super Bowl since Clinton was president. I don't know what your point is. It doesn't matter who the hell the president was because this is this year, and the Giants are a lot better, and and we're going to kick Dallas's ass. One of these games, we're going to beat them, and I think we can beat Washington week 1. I totally do.
I think we could. Yeah, could.
All right. Corp, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Happy birthday, Bad Dog. Thank you, buddy. My birthday's Sunday.
That's a big one.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Early birthday.
50 fucking years on this earth. It's amazing. Half of them are my wife. I can't believe that I'm still alive. I must have 9 lives. I'm like a cat. My name is Bad Dog, but I got to be a cat to survive all this time. He says, happy birthday, Bad Dog. I see you as family in my mind. I appreciate you, brother. Along with your co-hosts, shout out to Double A. That's Adrian and Anthony and Chris. So I have a bold Giants prediction. New York Giants make the wild card 7th seed this year and next year NFC Championship game. I love where your head's at. I love where the
head's at. It's certainly a bold prediction. I could see it in the NFL. I could see us sneaking in as a 7th seed. I don't think that's insane. I think you predicting us to go to an NFC Championship game in Jackson Dart's first year as a starter might be a little nuts, but I could see us sneaking in as a 7th seed if all things break right and everybody stays healthy.
Washington did it.
They did. They did. We don't have Jaden Daniels, but yes, they did.
Yeah, so our quarterback has the same initials. Why can't he do it? Right? JD6. Yeah, Washington over there talking about JD5. We got JD6, motherfuckers. What are you going to do about it? Our guy hunts lions in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
So, no. Jaden Daniels is really freaking good. I'm not going to say he's a really good quarterback. I like him a lot. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. But listen, I've talked about this before, man. When I was born, the Giants had one of the worst seasons ever. When my son was born, they had one of the worst seasons ever. When I was 11, they won the Super Bowl, in January of 1987. When my kid's 11, it'll be 2028. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. And between 1990 and 2007, that was 17 years. Between 2011 and 2028, that's 17 years. Do you see how all the numbers line up for the Giants to win the Super Bowl in 2028?
You've been saying that to me for years, Bad Dog.
I've been saying it for years, right? Since my kid was born.
I pray that you're right. And I see Marley Marl. I think we've been asked this question before. He says, if Wilson gets to and wins a playoff game, do we still go with Dart next year? My answer is yes. I mean, we would have to win a Super Bowl. I think look at what happened with Minnesota last year. It was a very similar situation. They brought in Darnold on a 1-year deal, an opportunity for him to have a big year, which he did. I think it's a very similar situation to that of Russell Wilson. He comes into a situation with an uber talented wide receiver like a Malik Nabers comparison to a Justin Jefferson, and he thrived, Darnold, and he ended up getting a good contract with the Seattle Seahawks. I think it's the same thing here. Even if the Giants were to make the playoffs and win a wild card playoff game, you invested a first-round pick in Jackson Dart. At the end of the day, the head coach is Brian Daboll. He's a quarterback guy. That's why he has the job to begin with. Well, it's his job to turn him into that franchise quarterback. Joe Schoen put his name on the line with that pick. Outside of an insane Super Bowl run, I think this is one and done for Russell Wilson, as the contract states.
What do you guys think? Anthony, Adriana?
No, I agree, because, even if he were to perform well enough for the Giants to go to the playoffs and it to become a conversation of them extending him or re-signing him, whatever, his price tag would be too much for them. And you want to maximize the window of a rookie quarterback's contract. You want to turn Jackson Dart loose. You want to put pieces around him. You don't want to keep reinvesting in the quarterback position. I mean, Russ will be 37 next year. You're going to pay a 37-year-old quarterback coming off of a season. Yes, that got you into the playoffs, but I mean, probably not winning the Super Bowl. You're going to pay him $30 million at 37 years old on what, a 1 or 2 year deal? I don't think it makes a lot of sense from a financial perspective, especially if you look at the Giants cap space next year. They're going to be tight in cap space by the time we get to that offseason. They don't have a lot of money. They spent a lot of next year's money this offseason on guys like a Deebo and Holland and other signings that they made. So realistically, if Russ is good enough to earn a contract next year, the Giants realistically won't be able to afford to give him that contract. But they do have a young rookie quarterback with a ton of upside and potential waiting in the wings. So they're going to turn it loose with Jackson Dart, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Giants' plan this entire time was, I think they had a plan. I think their plan was Russell. I think their plan was Jameis Winston to begin with, if they thought they could get Russell Wilson. And what they were going to do was they were going to draft Jackson Dart, if that was possible. They were going to take a quarterback one way or the other in this draft. And Russ was here as the bridge QB. He's going to move on after a year. The rookie was going to start next year in 2026, and Jameis is going to be the backup. That's why Jameis is on a 2-year deal, because he's your backup for the next 2 years. Unless something happens, or he has to be pressed into service to be your starter, which we hope that doesn't happen. But I think 2 years, $8 million is a great deal for a guy like Jameis Winston. But that's what I think is the plan. And Anthony makes a great point. If the Giants were good enough to make the postseason, it means Russ had a good year. And if Russ is having a good year, somebody's going to want to go out there and
see the Sam Darnold contract, same thing. He would get paid. Yeah.
So, there's no doubt about that. But I hope we have that.
Yeah, of course.
I hope that's an issue.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, that would be a great problem, without question. I thought I saw something up here that I wanted to. Oh no, I know what I wanted to do. Let's bring up this as well. This was another John again, with the credit to her for the film work. Was this who was this that dude? Obviously Hyatt was out today, tweaked the hamstring, just some cramping, nothing serious. Who is this that throws him the ball?
That's Dart.
So here's speaking of Jackson Dart. Here he is to Jalen Hyatt, who Hyatt's also showed some stuff in training camp. And again, just another really intriguing guy, kind of a make or break year for the Blitnikoff winner. But again, his strength is going deep and straight on track like speed. Nobody really able to give him the ball. We know Russ can give him the ball. Let's take a look at Jackson Dart getting him the ball right here.
Trey Hawkins and Nick Jones are in with the two.
And she's commentating.
I'm like, there's so many rotations going on that I'm trying to tell myself who's in during every play.
So a nice adjustment there in the air.
Good throw.
Who do you beat? I see Trey Hawkins over there, but that wasn't who's saying it was incomplete. I can see him.
Yeah, I think the other guy was either Nick Jones or Raheem Lane. Okay. Raheem Lane's 43. He comes running over.
Where is this?
There he is. There's 43. And then Nick Jones is up there. So, it's Raheem Lane.
The post got right in the way. Damn post.
I was saying today to the person next to me, I'm like, these freaking posts are in the way of all my damn videos. Oh, it's driving me nuts.
What a terrible place to put a freaking stanchion. That looked like a good throw, though. Kind of threaded the needle there.
Yeah, good throw.
But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, talking about Jackson Dart, I just don't understand why. I mean, some people I think are trolling about it, obviously, but
you're going to get it on both ends, man. You're going to get some people that see him make that throw and they're going to say he's incredible, and which is nuts this early on. And then you're going to get some people that see him throw an interception. And they're going to say, oh, you should have drafted Shador, or this guy's going to be a backup. We got to see it translate over the next couple of years. Quarterbacks evolve throughout the course of their career. So when it comes to Jackson Dart, at least me, even keel this year. Whatever we get from him, I'm not going to overreact one way or the other. We're going to see how it plays out, the second year when he's a full-time starter.
Right. The way I looked at it was this. I don't care what he does in training camp or preseason this year. It's not important to me because he's not our starter.
Right.
Next year, when we go into training camp and he is the starter, not that I'm going to blow things out of proportion, but I'm going to pay attention much closer to it, saying this is our guy. So he better have improved, from 1 year.
Well, and next year, even though if it goes according to plan and he doesn't play very many games this year, I think the pressure is still amplified because he had an entire year to learn under Russell Wilson.
Mhm.
You have Malik Nabers. If they do what we think they're going to do, they're more than likely going to add another nice weapon opposite Nabers in free agency or the draft. You figure the offensive line, they'll probably address it. Like, he's going to have better pieces around him. He's going to have an extra year in Daboll's offense. Yeah, next year I think the pressure gets turned up, but this year it is what it is. He gets a free pass. You ride it out, you learn for a year and see where you go after that.
Especially if we don't see him until like week 14. It's like, just get the experience, work on getting through your reads, finding your wide receivers, not making mistakes, things like that. And, the thing that he talked about after that pick 6 too was like, I saw Nick Jones coming through. I just wanted to see if I could get it through that tight window. And obviously he's learning that, the windows close a lot faster in the NFL than they do in college. And he's probably going to make some mistakes and learn the hard way more than once, but hopefully, for all of our sake, he figures it out.
Yeah, and that's what Daboll even said. He wanted to take a shot and see if he could get it through there, and that's how you learn. Oh, shit, those windows close really fast here. I can't make that. That's where you make your mistakes. That's, okay, I don't make that throw because the cornerback, the safety, whatever, they can jump that route really fast because they do. They play at a different speed in the NFL, and that's why that is the toughest adjustment in any position in football is that quarterback position. Because I think last show was Anthony or Chris mentioned, your best college teams have maybe 2, at most 3 NFL players on their defense. If you're looking at like a Georgia Bulldogs defense, they might have 3 NFL guys there, but in the NFL, you got 11 NFL guys. It's much different, and they're much more complex, and they hide their schemes much better. And they can trick a rookie quarterback that has not seen these looks that a defense gives him, and he thinks it's one coverage and it ends up being a totally different coverage. It's why it is a learning curve, and that's why a guy like Jackson Dart should benefit from sitting on the bench and watching and seeing it at least in real time how fast the game moves, and he can get some kind of a mental picture so that when he does go in next year, he kind of knows at least how fast the game goes and he can adjust. This is why it's good for him to sit. This is why it's good to have a future Hall of Famer in Russ and another great veteran backup in Jameis Winston. He's got a good quarterback room. Daboll obviously loves the kid, has a lot of faith in him, and I think that goes a long way when your coach has confidence in you. I'm not going to worry about Jackson Dart. This isn't Jackson Dart's year. 2026 is the Jackson Dart era. This year is let's just get as many wins as we can. Let's be competitive. Let's start building. Let's give the kid some confidence. Say, hey, I'm stepping into a really good situation here. And let hopefully, Daboll and Schoen keep their jobs because it means we had a good year and we're not constantly changing over things.
Speaking of that, I saw Dorgan, a regular of ours in here, Commanders fan. We're playing them week 1. He just asked that exact question that you brought up about if Daboll and Schoen were to get fired, would Dart be the quarterback next year? I don't know, but my answer to that, Dorgan, is outside of something absolutely catastrophic. I mean, like the first overall pick, catastrophic. I think both of them are going to be back. And I think the plan is for Jackson Dart to be the starter the following year. I think the Giants can finish with the 4th or 5th pick this year, and they're both coming back. I think they're going to get their year with Jackson Dart as the starter. I'd be very surprised if they didn't, unless they got the first pick. If they do, all bets are off at that point. But they could have a really bad season, and I think both still come back.
If they have the first overall pick, the answer, Dorgan, is no, because I'm pretty sure they'd be fired and a new GM is going to want his quarterback. And
I just think the defense is too good for this team to have the first overall pick. Regardless of our schedule, I just think the defense is too good.
Yeah,
and even like that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you looked at the schedule. There's definitely winnable games for us this year.
Yeah.
It's a tough schedule, but there's games I feel like we can win.
And outside of last year, we've won games that we weren't supposed to win. It usually happens every year for some team. And if you go back and look at some of the games too, like the Bengals, the Panthers, the Commanders' first game with the kicker, like even the first Cowboys game, like we were relatively close, at least in the beginning or for part of it. Like so many of those games we lost because of bad quarterback play. The defense did everything that they possibly could to keep us in games, and the quarterback not pulling the trigger or throwing a pick six or throwing an interception or whatever were a lot of reasons why we won or lost games that we should have won. So even just from the perspective of like, yes, the schedule's harder, but also we upgraded our defense and we upgraded the offense at the most important position on the offensive side of the ball. That if he makes throws and makes some plays that Daniel Jones or whoever other quarterback couldn't make last year, that alone should be enough for this team to win football games. They don't have to win 12 games. They're probably not even going to win like 9 or 10, but if they win 6 or 7, then there has to be enough progress to be seen to say, all right, well, we won enough. If we have only win 7 games, we've probably seen some of Dart, and between the wins and the little bit of Dart that we've seen, it's enough for them to carry on. I think they really they'd have to win, in my opinion, they have to win 3 games or less, end up with the 1st or 2nd overall pick, and then John Mara is starting all over.
I'm with you on that. I think something like that, like a 3-win season. But if they're even at 4 or 5 wins, I think they're probably back.
Yeah. Thank you. Best jersey ever. I love the red
jersey. I always swear we lost in those red jerseys, man. I swear to God they were bad luck. Maybe I'm just misremembering. I don't know, but I swear whatever.
They never won with the red jerseys. They never won with them. Yeah.
Never seemed like
but they never won with the color rush jerseys either. But they never won with any jerseys.
I was going to say, it doesn't really matter what jersey we're wearing lately. Yeah. You mentioned like the quarterback play. I mean, from last year, how bad it was. Anthony, you mentioned earlier, months ago when we got Russ, that Russ may be, right in the middle, maybe a little less. Maybe he's the 17th best quarterback in the NFL. But when you compare it to what our quarterback was, in that quarterback room being 30th, 31st, all of a sudden all the way up to 17th, that makes such a major difference, man. That is such a huge gap between a guy being the 17th best quarterback and the guy being the 31st. I mean,
right. The offense doesn't have to be top 10 in the league this year for us to win games. Like, they just have to be average, which is significantly better than what they were last year. And there's no reason why we shouldn't win more games if that's the case.
I hope I'm wrong. And by no means do I think Russell Wilson's bad. I just don't think he's the 17th best quarterback anymore. Well, I hope I'm wrong. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFL.
Where do you put him?
He's one of 14 that went to the playoffs last year. So
that's true. I'm not saying he's 32, but I think he's more around like 23, 24. Personally,
he's that low.
I mean, you look in our division. I think he's 4th, right? I mean, well, yeah, I think he's 4th in our division, right?
Probably 4th in our division. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look team by, I mean, I'd have to look at every team, but I don't know if I'd have.
Is he better than Caleb Williams?
I would put Caleb above him. I personally think people hated on Caleb's rookie season more than they should have. I thought he had a better rookie season than people credit him for, and I think he's going to have a big second year. So yes, I would put Caleb.
Is he better than Geno Smith?
At this point, I think at best it's even. Geno's had some good years recently.
Justin Fields.
He's better than Justin Fields.
Okay, I'm just kind of winging it.
Rodgers.
What's that?
Rodgers.
That's weird me to say that.
Rodgers, who also threw an interception on his first passive training camp, but no one wants to talk about it.
Yeah. He's probably better than Rodgers at this point. Yes.
Who the hell's the
Bryce
Saints
Young,
quarterback?
Baker Mayfield? Who's the Saints? Spencer Rattler is probably the starter there.
He's better than him, right?
Yeah, he's not better than Baker. Who was the other one we just said?
Is he better than Michael Penix?
Bryce Young.
Penix is an unknown. It's either you go either way with that. Well, I would rather have Penix because of his upside, but he's an unknown.
JJ McCarthy?
Same thing, unknown.
I'm obviously not saying Josh Allen. I know the answer. I'm just trying to think of guys that
in the Jets division, I would say a healthy Tua. I'd probably put a healthy Tua above him, and certainly the other 2 quarterbacks, not Fields. Okay. He's probably more like 23 for me, but I hope I'm wrong and he's top 10. I hope I'm wrong. That is a beautiful dog.
Yeah,
I'd be happy if he's like, oh.
But even 23, 24 is an upgrade to what we've had last year.
Right. So. It's so true. I'd be happy if he's like 15 to 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got her?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Dorgun, our last one of the night before we get out of here and let you guys enjoy your weekend. Yeah, I love that freaking dog. Didn't want a dog, and now I'm totally attached to the dog. What did the Giants do to fix the run defense? Did you see we are bringing the old jerseys back for 3 home games? I'm happy you're bringing the old jerseys back.
Which ones?
I think he's talking about the Commanders.
Oh,
he's a
I was
Commanders
like, I
fan.
missed the Giants.
And I got to be honest, their old jerseys were kick ass. I always loved their old jerseys. I thought they were awesome. I know. I mean, if you want to say adding Abdul Carter and drafting Alexander helped. We also added Chauncey Golston. I mean, they added some, they added some depth, and obviously they got the best defensive player in the draft. I mean, I don't know how much else they could do. They did have limited cap space, but I would say I don't think they fixed it completely. I think it's a work in progress, but it should be better with a healthy Dexter Lawrence. So you're really going to have a hard time double teaming them because of guys like Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau, that if you go one-on-one with them, they could beat anybody one-on-one. I think that alone makes them better. And I think they got some depth there. So is it great?
I think I think the improved secondary helps the run defense too. Like I just the better overall defense is going to help the run defense. Am I convinced it's going to be great? No, it's been bad. Too bad the last couple of years for me to say it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Also healthy Bobbio. And someone else asked about who's going to be the starter opposite Dexter. Roy Robertson Harris, who's a new addition, has been getting the most snaps at 1 next to Dexter Lawrence. So hopefully he's going to be an upgrade over Nacho in stopping the run too.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully they play better. And listen, Micah McFadden, a lot of people are picking him to have a breakout year. Micah McFadden's biggest problem is just doesn't tackle well. And if he could tackle better, he's pretty awesome. I mean, that's one of the best picks Joe Shane's had, if you think about it. Value-wise, he's been pretty awesome for a 5th-round pick. And I think the defense overall is just going to be it was okay at the beginning of the year last year. I think it has a chance to be an elite defense. It really, really does.
I agree. I think they're going to be a top 10 defense on paper. Now, if the offense is bad, they may not finish top 10. But
that's true.
Talent-wise, I think they're a top 10 defense in the NFL. I really do.
I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, that wraps up another edition of Giants Collective. Once again, if you haven't done so, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. And again, you can check us out on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. If you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple, that'd be great. All the places to get your podcast, links are in the description. TikTok, Instagram, you can find Giants Collective there as well. So make sure you're checking it out. If you ever want to become a member, you just click that little join button. You get the name and the outros. You get monthly member messages, and you get those really cool emojis that go next to your name that nobody else gets. Only if your name is in green, you get those cool emojis. So with that said, for Adriana, Anthony, and Entertainer, next time I see you guys, I'll be freaking 50 years old. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody, and we are out. Peace.
Have a good weekend.